All right, magic makers. Today I want to talk about self-discipline. And I want to talk about the self-discipline because when I ask people, hey, so what's keeping you from hitting your goals? What's keeping you stuck? And some people are like, oh, girl, if I had more discipline, I would be unstoppable. And so, and I get that. So many of you say, oh, if I had more discipline, I would lose the weight. I would be at the gym. My life would just be amazing. And I get that, because if no one's holding your feet to the fire, it's sometimes tough for you to just keep going, because we always do much better if someone's like, so Kim, did you get that done? What about this? What about that? We don't want to disappoint anybody else, but we have no problem disappointing ourselves. Is that just me? Hand completely raised. So let's just start with a definition. I made a definition. So this is what self-discipline actually means. Doing what is necessary even when you don't want to. So how many of you were like, oh, I'm going to work out after work. And then you just have like a shit day and you're like, the hell I am. And you go home. Or I'm going to work out in the morning. The hell I am. I'm tired. I didn't go to bed early enough, blah, blah, blah. And we skip it, so that's what we say. So when we say we want more discipline, we have to lean into doing things even when I don't want to do it. And one of the biggest things is that self-discipline is a great way to show up for yourself. If a friend was waiting for me at the gym, you bet your sweet bottom, I would make an effort to get there, because I wouldn't want to blow off Amy. Amy's waiting for me. I wouldn't want to blow her off. So when you start to tell yourself, these are the things that I want you to take a big step back and say, well, what do I really want out of life? Am I looking to work out? Is evening even best for me? Is the workout I chose, is it even the workout I want to do? Am I excited about that workout? Is that workout realistic for me? Am I doing things because I think I should be doing things? Or is it actually, something that's really going to move the needle? You are in control. And no one else is. There's certain circumstances that, we have no control. Like, I can't control this. I live in New England. I can't control this. Some days it's going to snow. I can't control that, but I can control the fact that, hey, if it's a snow day, what's my reaction to that snow day? If it's a day I'm supposed to work out, can I shift the workout? If it's supposed to snow all night long, can I shift the day I'm going to work out? Can I shift it to an evening? Can I shift it to lunchtime? That's what you can do. So the first place that when it comes to creating self-discipline is that you have to have a plan. And, I have this one client who's just like, she's the queen of planning. You give that girl a plan and she can just go to town on a plan. So self-discipline almost always requires a plan. The self-disciplined person doesn't take on too many actions, because when you take on too much, that's how we become overwhelmed, right? We become overwhelmed and then we're like, we shut down, or we just feel like, see, this is why I suck. So plans help us to think about unforeseen obstacles and come up with contingencies. So I did a mindset certification course a few years ago, and one of the biggest takeaways that I took from that class is if-then planning. So if something happens, then I'm going to do this, so that ahead of time, I can start to think about what are the things that typically trip me up. Work late. I used to have this boss, she was straight from hell. And she would inevitably 5 p.m., this must be done by 8 a.m. Right. So it's like, what are you going to do if that happens? You get sick, a kid gets sick. What are you going to do? So we have to start to think about the things that typically happen that trip us up. And then that way we can start to have it. One of the big things I always challenge my clients to do, and I challenge you to do, is to come up with what I call a 24-hour plan or 7-day plan. So at the time of this recording, I'm recording it on a Sunday. So I'm like, okay, it's Sunday. What am I going to do tomorrow? When am I going to work out? What am I going to eat? What does my day look like? So that way I go into the day, I'm like, this is what my Monday is going to look like, versus waking up and be like, oh, what am I going to do today? Am I going to work out? What is the workout going to look like? By, Sunday night, I sit down and I map out my week and I'm like, okay, this is how it's going to work out. Monday morning, 6:45, I'm getting up, and this is the workout that I'm doing. After I work out, I'm going to grill my chicken. That's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to, be sitting at my desk by 10 o'clock. Boom. Here are the 3 things that I'm going to get done today, or that Monday. Boom, done. And I keep it that simple because I was the girl who had their running to-do list, and I would always feel like I was behind. I would always feel like I sucked and I could never get ahead. But the best thing I did was, like, every day I'm like, what's tomorrow look like for me? You could also, zoom out and be like, okay, 7 days. If that works for you, 7 days. I map out my workouts for 7 days. Like, so I know that I'm working out, next week's a typical week. I know that I'm working out Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Boom, done. But if, the following week, I know that I'm getting my car fixed at first thing in the morning. I got a mammogram scheduled. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to have to, jock around some things because those are my typical days that I work out. So do you see where I'm going? Like, you construct the plan before so that we can start to take action so that we minimize the need for self-discipline, where it's like you've laid out the specific steps and you just got to follow the breadcrumbs. Okay. So we also have to start to create some type of accountability. Sometimes, like, and understand, sometimes you don't have control. Flat tires happen, dead batteries happen, school cancellations happen. So you have to start to think about developing yourself these, pieces of how am I going to accomplish this goal, and what's the accountability? Am I going to check in with someone, for gosh, several years. I had this friend, Leanne. She's one of my best friends, and we would text each other every day, be like, hey, this is what I'm going to get done tomorrow. And she would, and I would be like, I'm gonna do an hour at the gym. I'm gonna get in a walk, and I'm gonna, write a page for my website. And she'd be like, cool. And she would tell me what she was gonna do. And then the next day at 5 o'clock, we would text each other. She'd be like, all right, update. And it was black and white. There was no, well, what happened was, like, it was like, okay, and I would, we'd grade ourselves. It would be like, E for excellent, satisfactory, or needs improvement. And it was just knowing that at 5 o'clock, I had to give her an update. It was very helpful to keep me accountable. I teach at a boutique fitness facility, and the accountability there is if you don't cancel 8 hours before the class, guess what? We're going to charge you. So there's that accountability. And, for some of us, we need that money. We need the money to hold us accountable. One of my friends is a life coach, and she had a client who was really wanting to work out, but again, always coming up with an excuse. So she purposefully joined this really high-end gym, and she's like, I want to, as I see it coming out of my bank account, I want to see the pain in that. I want to see that pain. And the woman's like, so she's like, okay, that's great. So, she joined one of those, really like high-end gyms, and she did the math. And so I'm just making up this math because I can't remember off the top of my head what the number was. So say she joined a gym that was $200 a month. So she divided it by 30 days. And she said, okay, that's $50 a day. It's costing me to belong to this gym. If I don't go to the gym, I'm going to take $50 and just leave it on the street. That's my incentive to get my booty to the gym. And, does it have to be that dramatic? For her, it did. So, whatever that piece of accountability is for you, define it. What does accountability look like for you? And then here's my favorite part. This is like, it's part of my Fit Girl Magic formula. Habits. You have to develop your habits. And so when we have a habit, we don't have to depend on discipline so much. Right? Because your discipline is rooted in what you do daily, weekly, and monthly, that it becomes automatic. And so, and then for many of you, that habit has to start with a trigger. So, I use this example all the time because it works. So many of you will always say, if I could only drink more water. And I was talking to a woman at the gym today. So she has a water bottle that has time on it. So she's like, by 8 o'clock, drink this amount. By 10 o'clock, drink this amount, blah, 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 blah. So she's like, that's really helpful for me to process my brain. Because if it's 11 o'clock and I'm behind, I know I have to start drinking more water. So for me, to drink more water, I leave my water bottle in my bathroom. And many like, in your bathroom. Well, when I'm getting dressed in the morning, I'm not doing anything else. So after I brush my teeth and wash my face, I start drinking water. I'm drinking water while I get dressed. I drink water while I'm waiting for my coffee to brew. And that's how I, kick off my day, by having more water. So the more we start to make these habits part of our life, it becomes more of a unconscious thinking. Of course, in the beginning, you're thinking about it, and it might feel a little bit awkward, but eventually it's just going to become one part of what your subconscious does. And this is discipline, right? Doing the things even when we don't want to. Like, it's just a habit. Like, you just can't think about, the easiest habit I can think about is how you drive to work. You pull out of your driveway and you turn left. That's, you've been doing it forever, since you've had whatever job it is that you have, and then when one day you turn right, you're like, oh, this feels awkward. This feels a little bit weird. But I'll tell you that, once you start to get into the groove, it'll feel much easier. Then we have overwhelming, rewind, use my voice, avoiding overwhelm and procrastination. So many of us, we stress ourselves out by, this is how it has to look. This is how it has to be. If it doesn't look like this, if it's not like this, blah. So here's the thing. If you're constantly procrastinating, you will continually be overwhelmed. You will always have plenty to do, right? There will always be more things to put on your to-do list. That is just how life is. But here's where we have to start to meet life's hurdles, meet life's speed bumps, because if the more we continue to kick the stone down the road, the more likely it is that our stress is going to escalate. And for us ladies over 40, we are less resilient to stress. Our progesterone, that is the hormone that gives us resilience. That is the hormone that protects us. That is the hormone that really starts to light up, helps our serotonin and all of those upticks work. If I'm stressed like a mofo, it's not going to happen. I see it all the time. I have a client, she is so stressed out. She's still lying to herself about how stressed out she is. She doesn't really poop, because our bodies start to shut things down that aren't required for. Okay, let me rewind that. Our body's main thing is to keep our heart beating, our lungs breathing, and supply the brain. Those are number one, right? That is like keeping the brain going, keeping the heart going, and keeping the lungs going. That our brain is like, that's how I prioritize. So if I'm stressed out and other systems in my body are starting to use a lot of energy, it's kind of like in your house. You go through your house and you turn off lights that aren't being used. You turn down the thermostat. That's how your body starts to think. So if I'm really stressed out and your body's like, okay, I only have but so much energy, I'm going to make sure that the lungs go, your heart goes, and I'm getting oxygen to your brain. So I'm going to shut down your period, right? And your period might be already wonky because, we're perimenopausal. I'm going to shut down your period. And then you might not be pooping a lot. You might not be hungry a lot. You might have your cravings go up. All of this is because we're stressed and overwhelmed, where we sometimes just sit back and say, what's really on our plates? What do I really have to frickin' own? Or what am I taking on? So it's like, what do I need to do? What I need to delegate, and what do I need to dump? And again, boundaries. are there boundaries that I need to start putting up there? Because I see it all the time, especially when you start to like, be like, you know what, I'm gonna listen to these boundaries and I need some. And when you start to put up your boundaries, the people who you put your boundaries up towards, they'll be like, what the hell's happening here? And they'll try to make it seem like you, where you have to just really have to, stand in your power and just be like, you know what, for my own mental health, I need to start saying no to some stuff, right? No is a complete sentence. That changed my world. That I heard that probably like 10 years ago. Boom. I was the queen of over scheduling. I would, literally like tag one client in after the other. And I was just like, I can't anymore. I didn't sleep anymore because I was getting up at 5 a.m. to make sure that I was there at 6 a.m. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. My brain was just like not mush. And I'm like, okay, I'm 35 years old and I should not be this tired. I should not have to like come home on a Friday night and be like, we can't talk for 2 hours. So I really want you to start to really look at how we start to avoid overwhelm and procrastination, because procrastination, you know, it's it is what is keeping you from where you want to go. How many times are you like, when the kids, when, and you never fucking get it done? So here is my way to say, sit down. What do you want? Ask yourself the question, right? Have yourself a CEO day. What do you want? Not what you think you need. What do you want? And how can you start? But for the next 30 days, like, what can you actually do? Because self-sabotage happens because we missed a step or two, right? We missed a step or two. We didn't define what it is that we were actually going for. And if you work with me, I always tell people, like, stop setting squishy goals. Squishy goals, like, I want to be toned. What the hell is toned? I want to lose weight. How much weight do you want to lose? Really get clear, crystal clear, so that when you hit it, I want you to think about, like, if I were to hire a contractor to come and redo my kitchen, I'm not going to say to the contractor, redo my kitchen. He's going to be like, okay, lady, what's your budget? Granite, soapstone. What do you want for counters? What do the cabinets look like? Do you want cabinets, open cabinets, glass cabinets, right? He's going to be like, what do you need, lady? Because I get it. When I get in here and I knock all this stuff down, I don't hear your mouth if it ain't right. So same here, like, get it right. Like, what is it that you're looking for? And that's one of the things that is my strength, that I work with my clients to be like, we need to define what you want. And for some people, it scares the shit out of them, because I'm like, all right, well, let's define that, because that's how you get results. I want you to be so crystal clear that you're like, yeah, this is where I'm going. Like, I invest in you, so you got to be invested too, right? You have to be just as invested in your goal as I am, because I can't be the only one caring. One of the coaching certifications that I have, they said that the coach has to be 30% invested and the client has to be 70% invested, right? Because sometimes the coach is 70% invested and the client is 30% invested. And so you're like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, right. So you have to, like, really be like, put on the blinders of, like, this is what I want. Come hell or high water, I'm getting it. Create that plan. If you're like, I don't really know how to create a plan, hello, hire someone. Even if it's just for a 60-minute conversation, that 60 minutes will do you wonders. A lot of times I will just do a VIP session with a business coach, or I have VIP sessions for clients. If you're like, I don't really need the one-on-one, coaching from time to time, hire me VIP session. We talk for 90 minutes. I give you a plan. We work together to develop a plan. It's not like you show up and I just, email you a plan. We work together to develop a plan. And then, you can talk to me 90 days later. You could talk to me 6 months later. You could talk to me 2 years later. But it's like, it just really helps you to get that detailed plan. We're going to talk about, how do you hold yourself accountable, right? How are we going to know that you're hitting the steps? So that sometimes we might need to reroute. If you think about GPS, sometimes you miss a turn and that happens, and we reroute. Doesn't mean you're completely off course. You might have to make a couple U-turns. You might just have to, make a quick left and you're back on course. So that way we can practice that discipline. We can practice that self-control so that we know that we have that plan. We are on track and that this aligns with where we want to go. And so if you stick with the self-discipline process, you are going to get those healthy habits. You are going to find your fit girl magic, which is those great habits develop into great routines. Those routines develop into consistency, and the consistency is what is going to give you your lifelong results. So if this sounds like something that you want to have more of, these are things that we are going to explore in the belly fat code. And not only are we going to help you lose that belly fat, but we're going to create a system so that you understand what it's like to navigate the middle, so that you know what it's like, that you are not always feeling stuffed. You're not always feeling guilty about what you eat. You're going to come up with a preemptive plan that allows you to bring in the foods that you love, even treat foods, so that you have a sense of satiety and satiation in your foods. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, do me a favor, reach out to me. This is starting soon, and I want to make sure that you get in this round because I may or may not be holding it again until the fall. So ladies, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I can't wait to hear what you are planning to do for your self-discipline.